guys, welcome back to my channel, This or Something Greater. Today feels slower, softer, gentler. Over the past few videos, I've been talking about breaking down my goals, planning out a loving life, and trying to find a way to achieve in a loving and positive way. As I was building these lists and interacting with these goals, I realized something. I am spending a whole bunch of time looking forward into the future. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Dreaming, wanting, envisioning matters, and the future matters. However, I also started to notice that my attention started to drift to where I'm going instead of where I currently am. I think it's important to have a solid foundation in the present moment, even when planning for the future. I don't want to use planning for the future as a way to run away from the version of me that I am now and all the pain I carry. I want to learn how to love the version of myself as I am right now. I don't think change can be fully loving unless I do so. Today I wanted to talk about mindfulness and specifically break down a morning routine that I have found makes me feel super connected to the present moment. If you're new here, this channel is all about building a life that feels worth living by choosing love over fear. It's definitely easy to chase goals in the name of self-improvement, but I've been finding that it also becomes easy to abandon yourself in the present moment. Sometimes achievement can then feel like salvation. If I get there, I'll be okay. But what if I never get there? Will I not be okay? I find myself saying this even in small moments. Let me just get through this week. Let me just get through this day. At the end of this day, everything will be calm. However, life is unpredictable, and it's important to be able to find safety and security in every present moment. As always, I like to start each video with an intention, and the intention for the video today is to explore the fullness of each present moment. I don't want to rush through it or escape it. I don't even want to try to fix it. I just want to experience it. Let's take a deep breath and begin. When I was making my life list and breaking down my goals, I was feeling super motivated and excited. However, I was also constantly looking forward, asking what's next? What more can I do? How can I get closer to this life I'm envisioning? And it's actually funny because I have been using running as a great teacher in patience and living in the present moment. If I only ever focus on getting to the end of the run itself is going to be torturous agony. And that's how it felt when I first started running. I was so focused on the end. How many minutes was left? How much longer I had to go? Every step was just something I had to endure to get to the finish. And I didn't value each moment. I've been wanting to try something different. Instead of running away from that discomfort of being in that run and being in that moment, I wanted to sit in it. Feel the way my feet hit the pavement, the discomfort in my legs, the heaviness of my breath, not trying to escape the hard seconds, but recognizing that this is where I am currently. I just let them exist. And then the run stopped being something I have to survive, but something that I get to experience. And I really want to apply this to my life too. I don't only want to celebrate myself in my life when I cross the finish line. I want to love every version of myself. The version that is learning, the version that makes mistakes, the version that is struggling, the version that is hurting, the version that is unsure. I found that practicing mindfulness is a really good way to bring myself back to the present moment and learn to sit with whatever discomfort is there. I find it's important to be able to live in the present moment because you can't love and experience the journey if you're never fully in it. I want to give a understanding of what I believe mindfulness to be. I'm not an expert. Like I said, most of this is just what I've learned through living and what has worked for me in the past. Mindfulness to me isn't being perfectly calm or completely empty of thoughts. I think a lot of times, especially when I was younger, I thought meditation and mindfulness practice, you have to be complete one with everything. No thoughts going through your mind. You just transcend to this new level. And I was never really able to reach it. But now I'm starting to see another side of mindfulness. This idea of noticing my thoughts, noticing what I'm feeling, noticing the sensations in my body, noticing any discomfort that comes up and how I respond to it. It's a gentle awareness. It's the first step, I think, towards love and loving myself in the moment, because I don't think you can love something that you refuse to see. I think mindfulness can be made up of meditation and doing breath work and things like that. However, I've learned that mindfulness can be expanded upon and you can be mindful anytime. You don't specifically have to be in a deep meditative state. I wanted to incorporate some type of mindfulness in my everyday life just to get in the habit of bringing myself back to the present moment. I wanted something to anchor me in each moment before the world pulls me in a bunch of different directions. So the first thing I try to do every morning is my mindfulness practice. And as I was saying before, mindfulness to me isn't just sitting and doing breath work or trying to meditate. I a lot of times want to just notice and be with myself, my feelings, my body, and just pay attention to what's going on around me. A lot of times I do this in a way that is fun and something that I actually enjoy to do. I believe you could do anything mindfully. It's the intention. You can mindfully wash the dishes, paying attention to every moment, scrubbing the dishes, how the soap feels on your hands, how smooth the dishes are. You can experience something fully in each moment and be mindful no matter what you're doing. Actually, one of my favorite mindfulness things to do is the wordle or connections of the day. It's really nice to sit and think and be with my thoughts, my body, and at the end, I always make sure to call out what I've noticed. Any judgments that's come up, any thoughts I've had, any feelings I've had. Sometimes I'm like, well, I had a judgment that I should have gotten this in 3 tries instead of 4 for the wordle, things like that. And it just allows me to be mindful of what's going on when I'm doing something, how that experience is affecting me, my body, my thoughts, and bringing attention to that. Then I try to go and reflect on my weekly intention. As I had in my last video, I talked about my planner, and I have a space where I have an intention for the week, and I like to reflect on it and just see how I can remind myself to incorporate it throughout the day. Usually this is just me reading it, taking it in, naming it as my intention, and moving forward. We do it with every video. Then this is something that I've recently included, but I like to do some type of written affirmation. I've been trying to understand my relationship with affirmations and how I feel about them. I think a lot of times I am trying to make myself believe something that I don't believe in. And so I've been trying to use affirmations more as a tool to also bring mindfulness to things that I'm working on and how I feel about them, and seeing if I can play around with different wordings to feel confident and sure of myself as I move forward. I also kind of pair this with looking at my vision board. I think something that I'm also trying to get a grasp on how I believe it is incorporated in my life is manifestation and the law of attraction and all of that stuff. I think a lot of times I had a belief of it, and now I'm trying to really understand it as it works for me in a system. However, I do think that it is really nice to have a look of things that I am really excited for and how I'm working towards them, but also bringing in that mindfulness aspect of sitting there looking at the photos and understanding how it makes my body feel, what emotions come up, and also instilling a little bit of patience, reminding myself, especially in those moments of frustration, I want to be there, that I'm working towards it, and soothing those parts of myself that want it urgently. Then I go into planning my day, just going through whatever appointments I may have, any tasks that I need to get done, any big things that I might need to take care of, just planning it out really quickly within my planner. And then lastly, if I have time, I like to read a little bit of the book I'm reading. Whatever book I'm currently reading, I like to read, take a little bit of notes, have that time to just reflect on what I'm learning, and being able to have that quiet morning where I can just take in some information and see how I can use it throughout my day. Now, I know when I explain this may have seemed like it takes forever, but this takes 10 minutes tops. It's really about connecting to myself, and I don't necessarily want to move quickly, and at the same time, I don't want to make it something that takes a large amount of time and then I'm hesitant to do it as often as every morning. So I think it's worth it to find the routine that works for you, the time frame that works for you. If you have 30 minutes in the morning and you want to dedicate that to a really nice morning routine, I say go for it. However, this can also be a 5-minute thing that you do before you walk into work. It's something that doesn't have to be very specific or fall into any specific time. It's just what works. And this is kind of what's worked for me, and I've been able to stick with it. So to reconnect to our intention, exploring the fullness of the present moment, I didn't want this routine to be about productivity. I really wanted it to be about centering myself in all of the actions I'm taking, being able to bring it back to the present moment and realize and work with the emotions that are coming up within me, and realize that I am working towards the life that I want to live, and soothing whatever pain, trauma, fear, anxiety comes up with where I am right now. I think it's a really important practice to be able to look ahead and love where I'm going, while also soothing the parts of myself that are not happy and are in pain. I started this channel because I didn't like my life. I hated my life. That's not going to change just overnight. I have to slowly start making these progress, and I'm doing that. And I just have to constantly remind myself that we're getting there, we're moving, and it's a way to love myself where I am currently. I wanted to give some options for other mindfulness that I really like. I have two. One's a breath mindfulness, and another one is more of an artistic one. Like I said, mindfulness can really be whatever you want it to be, as long as you're connecting to yourself in that present moment and you're noticing what comes up. I think a lot of times it doesn't have to be super complicated, and it should be something that you look forward to doing. For one hand, I get really anxious when I do breath work, so square breathing, things like that, they trigger some of my anxiety, and it's always been really hard for me to breathe. And that's always the foundation that people go towards when they say doing meditation or mindfulness. And so I had to find other ways to be mindful without directly focusing on my breath for a little bit. That being said, I did find breath work that does work for me, and one of it was color breathing. I think because I'm a really creative person, I connected to color breathing, and I'm gonna explain it to you right now. So obviously you want to center yourself with whichever way you feel is best, and I do this for as long as needed, usually a minute or two. And the whole purpose of color breathing is to breathe in one color and breathe out another color. So sometimes I just randomly assign colors. Sometimes the colors switch. There's really no rules, and a lot of times it's interesting to see what rules or limitations you put on yourself, and that's something that you can notice as you do it. But I breathe in a color, let's say red, and I breathe out another color, let's say blue. And I just do that, and I imagine that color filling my lungs and then the other color being breathed out. And I think it's really nice to be able to have that visual cue, as well as being able to connect to the breath as well. It's worked better for me than just other types of breathing. And then the other mindfulness that is more art focused that I have loved, they're called Zentangles, and they're just a way to draw without any big objective. And for me, this was really nice because they allowed me to just really be present in the moment. So the way you do a Zentangle is there's many ways to do it. The way I do it is I like to just draw a random shape all over the page, so a whole bunch of circles, and then I just trace around the circles, connecting each line, making sure that they don't overlap. But it's super easy, and all you need is a pen. I like to use highlighters, and they're really fun and creative, and I think they allow me to have a sense of peace. To review, mindfulness is how I'm learning to enjoy the run and not just trying to get to the end of the race. It's how I'm trying to figure out how to love myself, every version of myself, the current version of myself, and not the one where I have everything figured out, not some future version that I think is going to be happier. As a reminder, there's no rush. There's no final version of you that you need to become before you're worthy of peace, rest, and self-love. You're worthy of that now. Until next time, my lovelies, I hope you allow yourself to sit in the fullness of this moment. And I wish you this or something greater. Bye.